Okay, welcome back. We're doing exponential functions. We're writing them, but this time we're going to write them from two coordinate points. For example, well, first let's put the equation up. Y equals a times b to the x. So let's say we have the point 1, 15, and 4, 405. Okay, so there are a couple different ways to do this. I like the way where we write it out by a table. I will show you the other way, but you'd have to know the formula, and that can get really complicated, so for right now I'm just going to do the table. So remember, A is a certain, let's start this way, sorry. I know I'm kind of scattered today. X, Y, so let's do -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the information we have is we know that 1, 15, 4, 405. In order to find out this value, because remember we need that value because that's going to be our A, we have to find our B value. And remember that B value just means it's a change. So this is really, to get to this one, to the next one, we would have to multiply it by whatever B is. And then we'd have to multiply that by whatever B is. And we'd have to multiply that by whatever B is. So really you're multiplying 15 times B times B times B to get to 405. We can set up an equation. So our equation is going to be 15 times B times B times B equals 405. It equals that end game, which is really 15 times B to the third, because look at how many times you wrote it, equals 405. Now we have to get that B to the third by itself. In order to do that, we have to divide by 15 on both sides. And I'm going to grab my calculator so to help us. 405 divided by 15, and we get B to the third equals 27. Now remember, the opposite of something to the third power is taking the third root. It's just like if we were doing multiplication, the opposite is division. If we were doing addition, the opposite is subtraction. All math has opposites, which is one of those wonderful things. So we're going to take the third root to get rid of that 3 above it. And we have to ask ourselves, what times itself 3 times is going to give us 27? So B equals 3. This part can now be applied up here. And I'll show you what I mean. So in order to get from 15 to whatever this is, we have to take it and multiply it by 3. So 15 times 3 is 45. 45 times 3 is 135. That's great. Congratulations, we filled in part of the table, but now I have to go backwards, which means I need to know whatever this is times 3 is going to give me 15. So what times 3 gives us 15? Well, that's 5. Okay? And so when we write our equation, we have y equals, remember it has to be that x value, 5 times 3 to the x, because that 3 is what we are doing. What's that difference? What's that common thing that we have to multiply all of them by to get to the next term? I find this easier. If you don't, please let me know in the comments so that I can make a video about the formula way, but I'm warning you the formula can be really tricky. So I kind of like this. So let's try another one. This time, they're going to be so nice. They're going to give us the point 1, 4, and 316. I like that. Smaller numbers. Okay, so again, I'm going to make my table. So, and I want to start with -1, 0. I know we don't actually get to that. I'm just so used to that at this point. I don't know why. So I'm going to input the data we have, which is when x is 1, y is 4. When x is 3, y is 16. And remember, we want to find whatever this is supposed to be. And in order to do that, we have to find that b value. So we have to find that change. So in order to get from here to here, I would have to multiply it by b. And whatever this box is, to get to there, we have to multiply by b. In this case, though, instead of moving 3 times, we're doing it twice. So this is going to be 4 times b, which gives us 16. So this is 4 times b to the second, because there's only 2 of them, equals 16. We're going to divide by 4 to get that b squared by itself. And so b squared equals 4. Now remember, it's a squared. To undo that square, we have to take the square root. And the square root of 4 is 2. So we can say b equals 2. So in order to figure out this, 4 times 2, so this is just going to be that times 2, is going to be 8. Now if we go backwards, we're saying what times 2 gives us 4, and in that case, that's 2. So our equation is y equals our highlighted, which is 2, times 2 to the x. I'm starting to feel like we keep repeating this kind of thing. Okay? Let's try another one. This time, try and pause it so that you're not like completely just following along. And then try it yourself and then check. So we have the point 1, 1. And we have the point 4, 8. Okay? So again, I like starting to make my table. I would suggest you pause, try and make your table, then come back. Okay, welcome back. So we have x. I'm assuming you guys all paused it. That's why I say this. Y. This time, I'll start with 0. Then 1, 2, 3. Let's see, I have to extend this a little bit. So 1 goes in 1. When x is 4, y is 8. And again, remember, we need to find out what this is. And now we're going to do our b's. So to get to there, times whatever b is, to get to there, times whatever b is, to get to there, times whatever b is. So that means we have 1 times b, times b, times b, and this gets us to 8. So 1 times b to the third power equals 8. You don't really have to divide by 1, but I just want to show you. So we have b to the third power equals 8. Let me erase it. That's a really bad 8. Now, again, if we have something to the second power, we take the square root because that undoes that. If we have to the third power, though, to undo it, we need to take the third root. Okay? And those cancel. So now, what times itself 3 times is going to give us 8? Good, that's 2. So b equals 2. So again, times 2. No, that doesn't count as a mistake, guys. I know, I wish it did. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Now I want to know what times itself, what times 2 is going to give me 1. So this one's going to be tricky. What do you think? Good. 1/2. Okay, so just be careful. So this one is going to be y equals 1/2 times 2. to the x. Because remember, it's okay if it's fractions. We don't have a problem with that. Okay? So just showing you. Shall we keep going? Okay. Let's try this one. What if it goes through the point negative 160 and 115? This one's going to be a little bit harder, so let's see. Let's see how we do with this. X and Y, and this one starts at negative 1. 0, 1. We could keep going if we wanted to. It's up to, but we don't have to. So let's fill it in. Negative 1 is 60. 1 is 15. And remember, I need this part for my A value. And so we want to say times B times B. So this is going to be Y. I'm so sorry. It's going to be 60 times B equals 15. And so it becomes 60 times B squared equals 15. So now I'm going to divide by 60. B squared equals 15 over 60. So before we try doing anything, I'm going to see if I can reduce this. So let's see, if we divide this by 5, we get 3. 60 divided by 5 is 12. And then 3 over 12 is going to be 1 over 4. And that might make it easier for us, so you want to try and simplify, because when I'm looking at this, I'm already looking to see what can I find that's going to be a square root. Well, 15 is not a perfect square, neither is 60. 3 and 12 aren't, but if I get it down to its simplest form, maybe I can take the square root. And I can. Now watch this. So B equals, so we're going to take them separately. The square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. So our B value is actually 1/2. So be careful. This is kind of a tricky one, which is why I wanted to show you. So if I multiply by 1/2, so 60 times 1/2 is really 30 times 1/2. Now if we kept going, we could. Okay, so what that means for our equation is y equals 30, because that's that value that we need for A, times 1/2 to the x. So this one was a little bit trickier, but just keep practicing these, and I promise I'll give you more worksheets and we can go over it some more. I hope this helps though. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in class.